Nobody cares about Ironheart. And it's not because she's black, or because she's a woman, or even because the movie she was introduced in didn't work. Because it did. Problem was, she didn't. Although we started with a solid introduction of her character as this fun kid genius.
I got differential equations class in like 15 minutes. Okay.
Whose life revolves around building things that mean something, it quickly gets overshadowed by basically the entire plot of Wakanda Forever, for her to finally get thrown into the final battle with an ugly-ass suit, leaving the audience impression of her as a mere meh. Marvel's solution, though, make an entire series about her so that we care. What is so important about this character? Is she playing a big role in Doomsday or something? And why does Marvel insist on pushing projects nobody asked for instead of giving us stuff like Moon Knight Season 2? Let's talk about it. But first, let's take a look at the comics. Riri Williams is a child prodigy who lost her best friend Natalie when she was 14. At 15, she entered MIT, and since then has been known to build suits and tech inspired by Tony Stark. Something we barely see explored in her introduction in Wakanda Forever.
What is it you're building here? Is it Stark tech?
I said don't touch anything.
Unfortunately, she's a fairly recent addition in the Marvel Comics, being introduced in 2016, but some of her major feats include working alongside Doctor Doom and becoming Queen of Latveria, Doom's hometown. Wait, what? Okay, I really hope this isn't the reason we'll be seeing so much of her in the coming months. Apart from all of this, she's been in a couple superhero teams, but not much more. So okay, well, she doesn't seem to be that interesting of a character, but maybe they can write her well, right? Well, yes, but no. Yes, we learned from Thunderbolts how good writing can make any character interesting, how giving them relatable problems, actual personality, and just a sprinkle of trauma can work wonders. Check out my Thunderbolts video to know more about that. I would define the Thunderbolts as memorable characters with depth. This is what made the movie work so well. So, can Ironheart not just do the same? That's where the no part comes in. People just don't care in the first place because nobody sees the point in making an entire series about an Iron Man knockoff. Why? Let's take Fantastic Four for example. We're about a month away from its release, and it has the entire Marvel fanbase hopeful for them to deliver a spectacle. We have the iconic characters, cosmic stakes with Galactus and the Silver Surfer, the introduction of Franklin Richards, and the absolutely stacked cast, including Pedro Pascal. Because of course we have Pedro Pascal. Wait, what's that? Oh crap, that's insane. So, I just got the news that Fantastic Four sold more tickets on its first day than any other film this year. So yeah, people are pretty excited to see this family in action. About Riri, well, she's got nothing. No iconic characters, no stakes, and not to hate on the actors or anything, they don't really deserve it, but you really can't compete with Papi Pedro Pascal here.
Hi, I'm Pedro.
We are from
Planet Earth.
Also, the context in which any Marvel movie or show is released matters. And for some reason, the higher-ups at Disney and Marvel haven't really understood how little we care for this character in this particular moment. Which begs the question, what can they do? These are my three options. Don't release it, also don't release it, and I'm not sure this could work, but okay, but seriously now, my first option would be not to even have the project in the first place, and instead focus on showing us the characters we really want to see more of, like Moon Knight, or the highly requested Last Mission show that would follow Steve Rogers returning the stones, or even different series where we get to see heroes like Shang-Chi or members of the Thunderbolts, so that the separation between their last appearance and Doomsday isn't as massive, dude. Okay, sure, but in this case there's no new character being introduced. So the second option would be to give the people a reason to watch it. I personally watched and strangely enjoyed Agatha all along. Please stay with me here. The main issue was that it was missing one key detail that could only be solved if you watched the entire show, and that is the return of Billy, Wanda's son. If you take this out of the show, which is what people got from the trailers, there's really no reason to see this show. If you got in looking for a big setup for the Marvel future, well, sorry, but there isn't one. So then most people didn't find any reason to see it. And wouldn't you know it, history repeats itself. Ironheart is not offering any value other than seeing her and Hood, who, although I like to see, it's not enough to get me excited to watch the series. So am I saying that because it's a new character and it doesn't have a Doctor Doom cameo, there's no hope for it? Well, the other huge problem is the recent situation with Marvel as a whole. People are losing interest in the movies, especially after the lackluster project that was Captain America: Brave New World. A lot of people were left with a bad taste in their mouths after watching the movie, so they weren't that excited to see Thunderbolts, which, although it was the greatest Marvel movie I've seen in a long time, it didn't score well revenue-wise. That's why there's little hope for Ironheart. The last thing we need right now is more characters with half-developed stories and unclear reason for their existence in the MCU. If Riri were to make its debut back when other characters were being introduced like Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, or even the god-awful She-Hulk, I think it would have been at least accepted by the public. But in 2025, nobody wants to see a new character. At least not one without a clear purpose. There's a lot of people comparing Riri to Yelena for a number of reasons. They're both somewhat successors of a deceased character, they were both introduced post-Endgame as side characters, and neither of them were popular enough to stand on their own. The key difference comes in how they were introduced. Yelena was right next to Black Widow in terms of relevance for the plot. She had a lot of moments to shine and she was given a proper backstory. Her motives were established, and she had an engaging personality.
Okay, you got a plan, or shall I just stay duck and cover?
My plan was to drive us away.
Well, your plan sucks.
Riri, on the other hand, barely even has the personality thing going on. Although she was a character that drove the plot forwards, her actual involvement in the movie was minimal. And you could argue that any other smart person could fill her role and accomplish the same goal she had in the movie, or at least a similar one. She also wasn't given a proper backstory or a reason to care for her instead of,
"She kinda smart."
Since naturally the movie about Wakanda is focused on, well, Wakanda, and Shuri as the new Black Panther. To be honest, Riri's appearance in the movie can only be described as forced. Look, I want Ironheart to be good, especially because it's one of the few projects we have left before Doomsday. I'll give it a chance, as always, but I also understand why people wouldn't want to go see it. All we can do right now is hope it's at least an interesting watch, so I can put it next to Agatha All Along as the series that got hated on, but actually turned out to be not that bad. Please subscribe.